Hi everyone, my name is Janine. Thank you for finding yourselves here. I'm coming to you from the beautiful interior of British Columbia. I'm up here right now visiting some family, so I thought it might be nice to film a little video since the landscape is so beautiful. It's late October right now, so even though the sun is shining, it is definitely still a little chilly, hence the toque. But I thought I'd make the most of it anyways. So for today, I was thinking we would just do a little movement, of course, but just to get the blood flowing, maybe do some more standing poses, getting into the full body. So this practice can be done at any time of the day. Right now it's afternoon for me, so I've been sitting a lot and I've been socializing, so I think that it's really good at this point to get the body moving. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about embracing change and in all aspects of our life, especially through the obvious ones, which is seasonal. I was coming from the coast, which was a little bit warmer, up into the interior, which is now a lot cooler. And I've had to learn to cope with it and to just embrace it, as we all do through our seasons, some more than others. But how can we more show up for ourselves through these times of change? And what I mean by showing up for ourselves is how can we be and how can we sit with what is instead of turning to coping mechanisms, which we all probably know, which do vary greatly. But a lot of the times when we turn to these coping mechanisms, it's a way of checking out instead of checking in. And when we're going through times of change, I feel that that's one of the best times that we can actually truly get to know ourselves, to ask ourselves how we're doing through that process. And the example of the seasonal changes is an obvious one and is an easy one, because how do we feel through these seasonal changes? Typically they can be quite contrasted, where we get used to dressing and feeling a certain way because of the weather. And then we have to switch because maybe it happens fast or maybe it's a slow progression. But either way, it happens and change happens. The ebbs and the flows of our life is continuously happening at every second. So how can we be there for ourselves through that, especially when times become difficult? And that's my invitation for you today throughout this practice, is to just embrace yourself wherever you're at. Whatever emotion, feeling, energy level that you're at right now, just embrace it and just observe it and be there for yourself. So whether that's just through our practice today, through our somatic movement practice, our yoga practice, or maybe it's through the rest of your day, or maybe even into your week. Maybe we can just observe how we feel through moments of difficulty or change, when those moments come up. So that being said, as we move through our movement practice today, just try to think about maybe the difficult positions that you might not be used to. How are we talking to ourselves through that, and how can we be there for ourselves through it? So if you haven't already, I'll invite you now to find a comfortable seat, and we'll just begin with checking in with ourselves here. So I'm sitting on my knees, but maybe you want to sit on your bum and in a cross-legged position, Sukhasana. Or maybe you're lying down in Shavasana and that feels comfortable for you today. So no matter where that is, I'll invite you now to gently close the eyes, or perhaps find a heaviness there, and begin to find your breath, taking a moment now to just check in with your inhales and your exhales, how full or how shallow they are. Maybe this is the first time today that we've given ourselves a bit of time to check in. And as you begin to notice your breath, just asking yourself, how do you feel today? Where are you at? Maybe putting any stories aside, any of the I feel this way because, or if that didn't happen, maybe I would feel this way instead. But just simply, how do you feel? Maybe you're practicing at the end of the day and it's just been a really long day and you've been through a lot. Or maybe you're starting your first practice of the day by carving out a little bit of time for yourself. You're just waking up in the morning. But whatever it may be, where are you at? Simply. So taking a few rounds of deep belly breath here just to check in. Rooting your tailbone into the ground and elongating your spine if you're sitting, or feeling that length grow from your feet all the way up to your crown if you're lying down. Either way, we're finding length here. In those difficult times of change, do we often run away from those feelings, those difficulties? Or do we face them head on with an openness, with a curiosity? Whatever it is, just observing that. And wherever you are, let's take 2 more rounds of deep, full breaths. Tracing that full inhale and tracing your full exhale. Allowing your mind to focus on the breath and come into the here and now. On your next inhale, if you're lying down, maybe rolling over to your side and pushing yourself up to a seat. Or if you're sitting on your knees like me, then maybe just going over to one side and bringing your feet out in front of you so you are in a cross-legged position. Maybe bringing your hands to your knees or your thighs or your ankles. We'll begin to just give ourselves a little bit of spinal torso circles just to start waking up the spine. So slowly beginning to stir the pot, if you will, one direction. Maybe breathing as you bring your torso forward. Breathing in, that is, and breathing exhale, breathing out as you bring your body back. Inhales and exhales. Maybe your circles are small, growing bigger, or maybe they're really big. You're feeling into all those little nooks and crannies. And changing directions if you haven't already. Breathing in as you come forward, breathing out as you round your spine backwards. And finding yourself back to a center. Let's roll over onto our hands and knees right away. So maybe facing the long edge of your mat. And just setting yourself up for a little bit of cat and cow-like movement here. Starting from the foundation and working your way up. So you're bringing your shoulders over your wrists and your hips over your knees. Just making sure that you have a good foundation here before you move. So pushing into the ground with your hands, pushing into the tops of your feet. Inhaling as you drop your belly, lifting your gaze up towards the sky. And exhaling as you round the spine, dipping your chin towards your chest. And continuing like this, but bringing in your own movement here. Whatever that means for you. Maybe you're rounding your spine as you come into a little bit of circles. Maybe you're just wagging out your tail here. Just lengthening in the side body, lengthening in the spine here. No rhyme or reason, really. Just do what feels good for you, whatever that means. Maybe you've been sitting all day long, so you really want to get in some wiggles, some movement. I'm definitely pro wiggles, as much as I do know and see how important it is to also be still. Sometimes our bodies are just craving movement and an unstructured movement. So I encourage that of you. Or if it feels like you just want to stay traditional today, if you want to come into traditional cat and cow, then that's great too. Wherever you are now, though, we'll find a neutral spine, flat back. Just bring your palms out in front of you, like 1 or 2 inches. Tuck your toes under, pushing into the fingertips, into the knuckles. Try to take the weight out of your wrists. And we'll slowly, on our exhale, begin to lift our knees, bending the knees and lifting the bum, the tailbone, all the way up towards the sky. We're coming into a downward facing dog here. Start to pedal out the feet, dropping the head towards the mat, allowing for your neck to stay heavy, your head to be heavy here. Feel an internal rotation into the shoulders, into the elbows. Like feel as though you're trying to pull your elbows towards each other as you're pushing away with your hands. And keep as big of a bend in the knees as you need to here. There's no need to have straight legs. Your heels are just going in the direction of the floor. Just walking out your dog here. Bending one leg and then the other. Taking a few rounds of breath here. Maybe rocking the neck, yes. Rocking it, no. And on your next inhale, we'll slowly begin to walk ourselves up towards the top of the mat, bringing your feet about in line with your fingertips. We're coming into a forward fold, Uttanasana, ragdoll fold here. So maybe have a nice generous bend in the knees as you fold your torso over top. Grabbing onto opposite elbows, maybe swaying side to side. Just breathing. Where are you at today? Getting some nice length in the hamstrings. You know, my back line is feeling rather tight, so this feels really good to me. Try to keep a heaviness again in the head so you're not cranking your neck up at all. And just as slowly, if not slower, as you drop your hands back down to the mat, we're going to begin to roll our spine up towards a standing vertebrae by vertebrae. Slowly rolling yourself up, feeling into every little inch of your spine. Your shoulders, your head are last to come up here. Keeping a nice soft gaze in the eyes, or maybe keeping them closed. Shining the palms forward, standing at the top of our mat now in Tadasana, mountain pose. We'll just find our center point here. And what I mean by that is maybe bring in a little sway, bringing your weight into the front of your feet, into your toes, and then swaying backwards. So you're bringing your weight into your heels, and then towards the right foot and towards the left foot. This can just help us to find our center point here. Feeling your tailbone shooting down towards the earth and our crown of our head shooting up towards the sky. Let's inhale as we lift our shoulders up towards the ears, and on a sigh of an exhale, we'll release them back behind us. One more time, let's lift our shoulders up high, squeeze them up towards the ears, and letting them go on that exhale. We'll come into a few sun salutations here, just getting the body nice and warm. So inhaling as we lift our palms, our hands all the way up towards the sky, palms touch overhead, and exhale as we hinge forward, diving into a forward fold. We're gonna go nice and slow here, maybe bringing a couple rounds of breath into each movement, and then we'll speed it up. On your inhale, we'll come into a halfway lift. So bring your palms to your shins or the mat and create a nice long spine. Your gaze looks just a few inches in front of your mat. And exhale back into that forward fold. We'll inhale as we reach our palms, lifting and leading with the heart all the way up towards the standing. Palms touch overhead, and exhale back to heart center. We'll do that again, but we'll add on now. So back into your mountain pose, opening up those palms, and inhale as you're reaching up all the way to the sky, and exhale right away, maybe diving forward into your forward fold. Inhale again as you lift up halfway, nice flat back. Exhale, we're gonna plant our palms this time and step our right foot all the way to the back of the mat, coming into a low lunge, Anjaneyasana. So again, find your foundation here before you lift up. So think about your knee being in line with your ankle, and kind of like a scissoring-like motion in the hips. And what I mean by that is bringing your right hip forward and tucking your left hip back so that you're nicely aligned, you're in or you're centered. When you're ready, when you feel stable, inhale your palms up towards the sky. Staying on your exhale, one more full round of breath here. Inhaling, maybe your gaze looks up. Exhaling your hands back towards the mat. We're gonna pick up our back foot and we're gonna step back now into a plank pose. From here, maybe drop the knees on your first go, bending at the elbows as you begin to release yourself down towards the earth. On your inhale, we'll come up into a mini back bend into our cobra. And exhale, tuck the toes, coming to your knees, and push yourself back into that downward facing dog. Nice. From here, we're just gonna walk ourselves forward back to the top of the mat in that forward fold. Inhale again into that halfway lift. Exhale, fold. On your inhale, leading with the heart, so bringing your chest forward first as you bring your whole body all the way up to a standing, palms touch overhead, and exhale, heart center. Just feeling into the heartbeat here, feeling your body start to warm up, checking in with your breath, checking in with where you're at one more time before we get into our second side. All right, coming back to our mountain pose. We'll inhale as we reach up towards the sky, palms touch, and right away exhaling as we fold forward into our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, palms to shins or mat, flat back. Exhale, fold. This time we're gonna step our left foot to the back of the mat, coming into our low lunge on our left side this time. Again, finding that foundation, really hugging everything into the midline. So maybe scissoring the thighs one more time if that cue worked for you. And when you're ready, inhaling as you lift your palms up towards the sky. Staying for one more round of breath. So inhaling here and exhaling. Bring your hands back towards the mat. We're gonna pick up that back knee and step ourselves right back into that plank pose. Let's stay for a breath here. So inhaling and exhaling. One more inhale. On your next exhale, either lowering down in a chaturanga or dropping your knees, tucking your elbows into the chest as you lower yourself down towards the earth. Untucking the toes, find your back bend, so mini cobra here, or maybe an up dog if that works for you. And exhale as you bring your head towards the mat, pushing yourself back towards your knees and up into a downward facing dog. Walking your dog out here. Maybe shaking the head again. And begin to slowly walk yourself up towards the top of the mat into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll reach ourselves all the way up towards a standing, palms touch, and exhale, heart center. All right, we're gonna go through that one more time on each side, but this time we'll speed it up a little bit. Again, finding what works good for you and following your breath through that process. So allow your breath to be what guides you. If you ever feel like you need to, or you are jeopardizing your breath at all, or your breath becomes too shallow, then just back out of the pose a little bit. And you can always find yourself on your knees or in a child's pose if that feels better for you or you need a break. Remembering that this is your practice. I am here to offer suggestions and be your guide, but ultimately you need to do what feels good to you. All right, let's get into one more round. So mountain pose, palms shining forward. Inhaling as you reach your palms up towards the sky, palms touch, exhale right away into your forward fold. Inhale, we're coming into our halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your palms, step back into a plank pose. Knees touch the ground. Exhale as you tuck yourself forward, finding the earth. Inhale, mini back bend. Exhale, knees, pushing yourself back into a downward facing dog. Walking yourself right away up to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale to that halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reaching up all the way to the sky. Palms touch. Exhale, heart center. Inhale as you reach. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms. We're gonna step back with our right foot, low lunge. Inhale as you reach up towards the sky. Maybe your gaze follows this time. Exhale, palms to the mat, stepping back to that plank and lowering to the earth, finding your way. Inhale to a cobra. Exhale, pushing back to downward facing dog. Stepping forward. Find yourself at the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reaching up all the way, standing, palms touch overhead, and exhale, heart center. All right, one more time. Inhale as you reach up, palms touch. Exhale, right away, diving forward into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step the left foot back this time. Anjaneyasana, reaching up into your low lunge. Exhale, palms, find the earth, stepping back into your plank, and find the earth on your exhale. Inhale, cobra, mini back bend. Exhale to the knees, pushing yourself up to a downward facing dog. Awesome, just walking it out here now. Taking a breath. Allowing yourself to have some full audible exhales as you inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. Doing that a couple more times, inhaling through the nose and out through the mouth. One more. Inhale through the nose. Let it out on the mouth. All right, begin to slowly walk yourself up to the top of the mat. We're gonna bring our feet to the outer edges of the mat this time with your toes facing out. And begin to sink your hips down. We're coming into a yogi squat. So bringing your elbows on the inside of your knees here. Think about creating a nice long spine, so a tall spine. Your tailbone is rooting towards the earth. If you need to be up onto your toes here, if that's better for your hips, then that's okay too. But just try not to round forward. Try not to bring your shoulder blades in. We want a nice open chest, nice broad collarbones. Maybe bringing your palms together at heart center. This can be nice for a point of contact here, so we can push our inside of our knees with our elbows. Breathing here. And we'll bring our hands back behind us, slowly lowering our bum towards the earth. And we'll bring our feet together, soles of the feet together in Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose. I'll just turn to face you here. So palms either holding onto the ankles or maybe the toes. Maybe giving your soles of your feet just a little bit of a massage here. It can be nice after you've been on your feet a little bit. And we're just gonna slow it down and cool it down a little bit after we felt our heartbeat there, got the blood flowing. So with a long spine, grow tall, rooting your tailbone down. We're gonna begin to fold over with a flat back, maybe using your elbows here to push into your knees just like we did in our yogi squat. And allow for the head to just relax down. Breathing here, feeling into the hip flexors, into the groin. Your feet, your ankles, your heels. They can be as close to you as you would like them to be, or they can be as far out, maybe more in a diamond-like shape, depending how much of a stretch you want. So inhaling here. One more full exhale. Maybe sinking a little deeper. So inhaling, beginning to roll your spine up towards a seat. We'll use our hands here on the backs of our knees to bring our knees together. They might be a little sticky after that one. And bringing our hands back behind us, our soles of our feet towards the edges of the mat now. Let's just begin to drop our knees over to one side, windshield wiper. Inhaling to center, exhaling as you drop over to your right or left side. Just doing this a few rounds on your own, following your breath. Inhaling in the center, exhaling as you drop. As you come back to center now, we can lengthen our legs out in front of us. Maybe just bringing the fleshy parts of the booty out from under you so you can really plant your tailbone, your sit bones onto the earth. We'll just come into Patimoshanasana, which is a forward fold. So you can keep a nice bend in the knees if you need to. This is also a good place for a pillow or a block or a bolster. I don't have anything with me outside right here, but if you're at home inside, you can prop something there if you're feeling really tight in the back lines. You can also sit up on something, that's good too. But we'll inhale as we reach our hands up towards the sky and exhaling as we fold forward with a flat back here. First, seeing where we go, finding our edge. Then maybe dropping our chin towards our knees, rounding the spine here as we relax forward on our exhale. But no matter where you're at, accepting that, not judging it, not wishing that you could fold any farther than you are today. Maybe noticing if you feel any different than you did yesterday. It's very possible. It's probably very likely. So I'm not folding very deep, as you can see here, and it's taken me a long time to accept that this is just my body and my anatomy, and that it's okay. And slowly, I may fold deeper with some days that my body feels a little bit more open. But when I'm tight, when my body's feeling restricted, right here is just perfect. So taking 3 rounds of deep, full breaths here, allowing for maybe every exhale to sink you just a little bit deeper, even if that's so incrementally, even if that's energetically. Maybe checking in one more time with yourself and asking yourself, how can you better show up for yourself in those difficult times of change? What do you need through those moments? And when you see yourself turning to those coping mechanisms, whatever they may be, how can you redirect your attention and ask yourself what it is that you need? And maybe you don't know, and that's okay. But giving yourself a moment, giving yourself time, just sitting with your breath, sometimes can bring up the answers that you need. And sometimes we just have to go with it. On your next inhale, slowly begin to walk your palms up towards your hips, so you're growing your spine nice and long. We'll bend our knees again in front of us, and let's just round the spine as we hug into our shins, dropping our head towards the knees. Just giving ourselves a moment of rounding here. A little self-care snuggle, if you will. And we'll slowly begin to find ourselves onto our back. So rolling again, one vertebrae at a time. Maybe you need to bring your booty a little bit farther down the mat so that you can nicely lay yourself back down onto the floor. And we'll bring our knees into our chest here, rocking back and forth. Maybe taking your hands to either knee and just tracing circles. Going one direction, opening up your knees, and maybe changing direction so it feels like you're closing your knees, you're drawing circles. And we'll come into a happy baby from here. So bringing your hands on the inside of your knees, but grabbing onto the outer edge of our feet. We're gonna slowly begin to open up our feet so that the soles of our feet are facing the sky. Maybe rocking side by side here if you feel like you're just craving some more movement still. Maybe lengthening one leg at a time as you rock over. Just feeling it out here, taking a few rounds of breath on your own time and getting out the last little bit of wiggles before we close down our practice for today. And once you feel satisfied, you can release our feet, bringing them back towards the mat, just bringing our feet to the outer edges of our mat and allowing for your knees to drop inward into this constructive rest position. Maybe just bringing your hands so they're on your body here. So maybe both hands to the belly, maybe one hand to the heart space and one on the belly. Whatever feels good. Or maybe you just want to open up both palms and splay out, taking up space. This constructive rest can be nice for our lower backs if they're feeling a little pinchy at all. If you do want to walk your feet out, growing nice and big and long for your Shavasana, you can do that too. Or if you want to roll right over and sit up for a final seated meditation, then that is also a nice option. But wherever you find yourself, we'll stay here for at least 6 to 8 full rounds of breath. Just giving yourself, giving your body a bit of time to integrate the movement that you just did. Maybe imagining yourself melting into the earth, grounding into the earth. Maybe like you're a piece of ice melting on a hot day. With every exhale, becoming a little looser, letting go. Beginning to deepen your breath. And if you're feeling blissful and you're very comfortable here, then I encourage you to stay for as long as feels good to you before you go about the rest of your day or evening. But if you're ready to come out with me and you're lying down, you can roll over to one side. In a fetal position, maybe your palm rests underneath your head for support. Taking a full round of breath here. On your next inhale, pushing yourself up, using the strength of your hands and your arms to push your body up towards a seat. Finding yourself in Sukhasana, a seated pose. I'm gonna find myself back on my knees, how I started my practice today. And maybe bringing your palms open if you're looking for some receiving, or maybe your palms are closed, so your palms are down on your lap. If you'd like some more grounding, or maybe one of each. If you feel like you need some balance of the two, maybe trying out both and seeing what feels good to you. And taking a few more rounds of breath here just to settle in. Before we close, I'd like to share a quote with you by Alan Watts. And it goes, the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. Simple and beautiful, and a nice way for us to remember that change doesn't have to be so scary, but why not have fun with it and just embrace it? Let's bring our hands to our center, to our heart, Anjali Mudra. Taking one more collective deep breath in through the nose and a sigh out the mouth. Humbling your head towards your heart, saying namaste. Thank you so much for joining me here for this little slow flow in beautiful 108 Mile House. And I hope to practice with you again. Thank you. Mwah.